Hi and welcome to this Blueberry Markets video update with me, John Kibler, Head Currency Analyst. In this video I'm going to take you through the week ahead analysis. We're going to go through the news for this week and some charts of interest. So going to kick off this week with some Euro data. We've got some services PMI to come out of Germany and France. We then also follow that with some services PMI out of the UK and the US. So all services PMI and manufacturing PMI coming out of various different places this week, all kind of pointing more towards a little bit of downside here. Again, is that going to kind of show the potential for a little bit of downside to come in the markets for euro and pound? Dollar is the one that's looking like we could see an increase. So is the dollar going to continue that strength going into this week? We do have Federal Chairman Powell speaking. This will, I think, is at the Jackson Hole Symposium. So yeah, big data coming out Thursday, Friday. Friday is a typical day to see some volatility anyway, and it can often be a tricky day to trade anyway. So all that news coming out on Friday may be something that you want to stay away from. Going on to the strength meter then, we've seen some significant things on the strength meter. For one, the yen, when we were talking about it being in that reversal zone, we've seen a big move starting to follow through now on the strength meter. The reason why the move's so big is because the strength meter is based off some trends as well as other things, but mainly trends, and the trends on most yen pairs have changed, so that's why we're seeing that big drop to the downside there. Same for the dollar though, got into that reversal zone, big move to the upside. So dollar yen longs last week, which is something that we discussed was really the perfect market to look at, and we'll look again at that going into this week. Starting off with the Euro US dollar chart, I've only got weekly volume profiles on here at the moment because we had such a big move to the downside. Looking at the US volume profiles, or even the daily ones, may throw up a couple of different alternative levels that I don't want to look at just yet. We'll see how Monday plays out first, and then we'll have a little look at some kind of daily levels. But you can see here, price approaching the untested weekly point of control from a previous week, so I wouldn't be surprised if we did see price test that or even come a little bit lower into this area down through here. You can see, let me just draw a better box around that. We have this kind of low volume pocket. Now what this is called is an excess area. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me just grab that again, sorry. This is called an excess area. So excess areas are made when the price has kind of made this kind of wick down, and price hasn't stayed here for very long. We've had this big wick down, and then we had quite a significant move from that level. So excess areas can often see slight turnarounds in the market, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw price come into the excess area, come into the parity level, and perhaps found some kind of support. Alternatively, we may rally at the early part of the week and then continue to the downside. So if that's the case, I've got a couple of areas that I'm eyeing up. The first area is the value area low on the weekly, which is 1.0122. The second is actually this little pocket of volume in here around about the 1.0080. If price starts to find some resistance around this high volume node, I wouldn't mind actually looking for opportunities around that point either. So a couple of opportunities. If we get the early pullbacks in the week, I'll be looking for short opportunities. If price continues to the downside and we come into this excess area, we could see a little bit of buying coming in around these areas. Going on to dollar yen. So obviously we talked about dollar yen last week, looking for those longs. We had a really nice rally all the way from the 132.50s all the way up into sort of the 137s. So nice significant move in the market there, and you know, could we see some potential continuations of that going into this week? Looking at it from sort of 4-hour trend, we're making higher highs, higher lows. is price going to pull back into potentially this untested weekly value area high of last week for a continuation to the upside? That's something I'm eyeing up. Or if price continues, we've got multiple levels here. We've got a bit of a zone actually between 137.46 and 137.70. That could be an area where we start to see a bit of a pullback in the market. So could be watching multiple levels this week. We also have a lot of high volume nodes as well. You can see all the way through here, lots of high volume nodes. So when you have situations like this, you know, got weekly point of control that price broke through as well. When we have like multiple levels like that, what you want to do is just eye up price action at these levels, because price isn't always going to find support at these points. They just offer you areas of interest for you to take a look at. So let's say we rally to the upside. If we don't get any kind of bearish reversal setups there, then I won't be looking for any kind of opportunities until we come to the next resistance level, which could be this untested weekly value area high, which could kick everything off to the downside in the near term. Obviously, price is an uptrend, so really speaking, your bias must be towards the upside, because we're trading above the value area high of last week as well. So I would be more interested in potential opportunities to the upside this week because of that. So I would like to see, you know, maybe these high volume nodes finding some buyers, or ideally this untested weekly value area high would be an interesting area. Going on to pound then, so looking at pound for opportunities in here, we've got a huge downside last week. You know, that momentum could continue going into this week. Very similar to euro, we're kind of back towards some lows, so naturally I'd expect some profit taken out of a move like this. So that could mean price could come back to the upside, depending on if we do see buyers. We are at a value area low of a previous week over here. We are starting to see some buyers coming in at that point. So if buyers can hold here, we could see price rally slightly. Now, again, we've got some areas of interest from the weekly volume profile. We have this whole kind of section in here that starts around the 119 level. If price was to get back to there, we could see some bearish sentiment. If we trade through that level, lots of low volume there, and price could quickly move back to the value area low of the week. So that's an area I'd be really interested in seeing some resistance around about 1.2019, that weekly value area low. If price came up to there, I think we could see some short opportunities coming into the market. Going on to gold, then looking at the volume profile chart here. I like the opportunity again to the downside. Weekly was bearish last week. We're trading below last week's, or we're going to open up below last week's value area low. That typically means that we should see a continuation of that, unless price kind of climbs back within value. So I like the idea of potentially trading lower. You can see here we're kind of closing within this week's value area. So let's say price dropped a little bit lower. If price found resistance at 17.50, we could see a move all the way back down to 17.13.80, or even slightly higher, maybe, you know, around 17.20s. You know, that could be an area of interest. Could we see price reject this point and move down? Also have a nice high volume node at 17.55, which could have been of interest. So that's what I'm looking at going into this week. I hope you enjoyed this video update. If you did, leave this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel to see some more Forex trading content. And I will speak to you next week, or sorry, in the next video. Cheers, guys.